Kevin Stefanski should be fired. The fact that Shedeur Sanders went out there and looked as good as he did, and you never gave him chance, you never wanted him, you never gave him reps with the ones, and he looked like that with just 1 week of reps with the ones, and you get to the podium.
Yeah, I'm always going to take my time and do what's best for the football team.
Even when Dillon Gabriel stunk it up game after game after game, Dillon Gabriel stunk it up. You always went to the podium, even before watching the film after the game, and said, oh, Dillon's the guy. Dillon's going to be starting. But when it comes to Shedeur, you don't want him starting no matter what.
The Cleveland Browns are in absolute chaos right now. And we're not talking about your typical NFL dysfunction. We're talking about a full-blown organizational meltdown that has fans questioning everything they thought they knew about Kevin Stefanski's ability to evaluate quarterback talent. Let's set the stage. Shedeur Sanders just delivered a performance that had Browns fans standing up and taking notice. The kid came in, made plays down the field, showed composure under pressure, and demonstrated exactly why he was one of the most talked about quarterback prospects coming out of Colorado. This wasn't some garbage-time performance against prevent defenses. This was legitimate quarterback play that moved the football and put points on the board. And what does Kevin Stefanski do in response? He tap dances around committing to Sanders as the starter going forward. He hedges, he deflects, he talks about taking his time and doing what's best for the football team. Meanwhile, Dillon Gabriel has been stinking up the joint week after week, and Stefanski never hesitated to confirm him as the starter before even watching film. The hypocrisy is staggering. It's not just frustrating for fans, it's legitimately concerning about what's happening behind closed doors in Berea. Because this isn't about football anymore. This feels personal. This feels like a coach who has already made up his mind about who he wants under center, regardless of what happens on the field. Think about this timeline. Shedeur Sanders was listed as the 4th string quarterback. 4th string! Behind Dillon Gabriel, behind backups who haven't shown half the arm talent or processing speed that Sanders displayed. The organization buried this kid on the depth chart before he ever got a legitimate chance to compete. That's not evaluation, that's predetermination. Then Sanders finally gets his opportunity. And what happens? He goes out there with minimal reps with the first team, we're talking 1 week of practice with the starting offense, and he performs. He makes the throws. He extends plays. He shows the kind of playmaking ability that the Browns' offense has been desperately lacking.
Obviously, getting that play off of scramble drill was huge, the one to IB. I mean, that's a great play for us in that moment when we're outmanned to be able to escape and make that throw. And then, you know, the play to Samp, I thought, obviously, great individual effort by Samp, but the blocking on the perimeter was so key.
Stefanski himself acknowledges the play. He sees it. He knows Sanders made something out of nothing when the protection broke down. That's elite quarterback play. That's the kind of ability you can't teach. Either you have that instinct to keep plays alive and deliver strikes downfield, or you don't. Dillon Gabriel doesn't have it. Shedeur Sanders does. But here's where it gets absolutely insane. After the game, reporters are asking the obvious question: is Shedeur Sanders your starting quarterback going forward? It's not a gotcha question. It's not unfair. The kid just balled out and gave your offense a life. So what does Stefanski say?
Yeah, I'm always going to take my time and do what's best for the football team.
Take your time? Take your time? Where was this measured approach when Dillon Gabriel was throwing interceptions and checking down on 3rd and long? Where was this careful deliberation when Gabriel couldn't push the ball past 15 yards downfield? Stefanski was in front of microphones every after Gabriel disaster game, declaring him the unquestioned starter. No film study needed, no competition necessary. Dillon was the guy. End of story. But Shedeur Sanders goes out and performs, and suddenly we need time. Suddenly we need to evaluate. The double standard is so blatant, it's almost insulting to our intelligence as fans. Let's talk about what Dillon Gabriel has been for this Browns offense. He's been limited. He's been scared. He's been the definition of a game manager who can't actually manage games when things get tough. Gabriel can't see over the offensive line. He can't make the throws outside the numbers. He panics under pressure. And most damning of all, he doesn't give the Browns any chance to win games with his arm. The Browns need a quarterback who can extend plays and attack downfield. They need someone who can make something happen when the pocket collapses and the play design fails. They need a playmaker. Sanders showed he can be that guy. Gabriel has proven conclusively that he cannot.
Well, I think you saw a lot of what Shedeur does well on the field today. I thought to make that play off schedule when we were outmanned in protection, get the ball down the field.
Even Stefanski can't help but acknowledge Sanders' ability. He sees it. He knows what Sanders brings to the table. And yet, he won't commit. He won't pull the trigger. He's still clinging to Dillon Gabriel like a security blanket, even though that blanket is threadbare and falling apart. This is what makes the situation so maddening for Browns fans. It's not like Sanders had a mediocre game and people are overreacting. He legitimately performed at a level that justified more opportunities. The film doesn't lie. The tape shows a quarterback with arm talent, mobility, processing speed, and most importantly, the ability to make plays that matter. The offensive line wasn't perfect, the protection had breakdowns, and Sanders still made it work. He escaped pressure, kept his eyes downfield, and delivered accurate throws to his receivers. That's quarterbacking. That's what you want to see from your signal caller. Compare that to Gabriel, who crumbles the moment pressure arrives. Gabriel, who throws hospital balls over the middle. Gabriel, who consistently fails to see open receivers because he can't process the field fast enough. The contrast couldn't be more stark. And here's the really damning part. Shedeur Sanders did this with 1 week of first-team reps. 1 week! He didn't have the benefit of an entire off-season program. He didn't have training camp with the starting offense. He got 7 days, and he made the most of it. Imagine what he could do with an actual opportunity to prepare as the starting quarterback. But Stefanski doesn't want to imagine that. He doesn't want to see it, because admitting that Sanders should start means admitting he was catastrophically wrong about his quarterback evaluation. It means admitting he wasted valuable time with Dillon Gabriel when a better option was sitting right there on the roster. This is about ego now. This is about a head coach who can't admit he made a mistake. And it's going to cost the Browns any chance they have of salvaging this season.
Yeah, because my focus is on today. It does give me the opportunity to talk about another quarterback, Bernie Kosar. I know Bernie was watching today. I was texting with him before the game. I got to see him this week. Just amazing to be with him. And
this response is absolutely unbelievable. A reporter asks about Shedeur Sanders starting going forward, and Stefanski pivots to talking about Bernie Kosar. Bernie Kosar! A legendary Browns quarterback from decades ago, has nothing to do with the current quarterback controversy. It's deflection at its most obvious. It's a coach running away from the question because he doesn't want to give the answer that the performance on the field demands. The disrespect towards Sanders is palpable. Stefanski showed more enthusiasm discussing a retired quarterback than he did about the young player who just gave his offense a pulse. That tells you everything you need to know about where his head is at. Browns fans have every right to be furious. They've watched this team waste opportunities year after year because of stubborn coaching decisions. They've seen talented players misused and underdeveloped, and now they're watching it happen in real time with their quarterback position. The crazy thing is that the Browns actually have something with Shedeur Sanders. They have a quarterback with legitimate NFL talent who can grow into a franchise player. But they're going to squander it by remaining loyal to Dillon Gabriel, who has already shown his ceiling, and it's not nearly high enough for what this team needs. Every week that Stefanski delays making the obvious decision is another week wasted. It's another week of developmental reps that Sanders doesn't get. It's another week of lost opportunities to build chemistry with the receiving core and establish an offensive identity around a quarterback who can actually execute it. The Browns are staring at a lost season anyway. They're not making the playoffs. They're not contending for anything meaningful. So why on earth would you not give extended playing time to the quarterback who showed the most promise? Why would you go back to the guy who has repeatedly demonstrated his limitations? There's no logical football explanation. This is personal preference overriding professional judgment. This is a coach who has already made up his mind about who he wants under center, regardless of what the tape shows or what the stats indicate. And that's what makes this situation so infuriating for Browns fans. Because Browns fans can see it. Analysts can see it. Neutral observers can see it. The only person who apparently can't see it is the one person whose opinion matters most, Kevin Stefanski. The Browns didn't just need Shedeur Sanders to play well, they needed him to be undeniably better than Dillon Gabriel. And he was. The bar was cleared, the standard was met, but it doesn't matter because the coach has already made up his mind. This is how franchises waste years. This is how organizations crater, not because they don't have talent, but because they refuse to acknowledge the talent they do have when it contradicts their preconceived notions. Shedeur Sanders deserves better than this. Browns fans deserve better than this. And frankly, the entire organization deserves better than a head coach who can't see what's directly in front of his face. The next few weeks will reveal everything about Kevin Stefanski's tenure in Cleveland. If he goes back to Dillon Gabriel, he's telling everyone that performance doesn't matter, competition doesn't matter, and that his personal preferences supersede what's best for the team. If he sticks with Sanders, he admits he was wrong, but shows he's capable of adjusting when presented with new information. Right now, all signs point to Stefanski making the wrong choice, again. And when this season ends in disaster, when the Browns are picking high in the draft and searching for their next franchise quarterback, everyone will look back at this moment and wonder why they didn't just ride with the kid who actually showed up and performed. Kevin Stefanski is on the verge of making one of the most boneheaded coaching decisions in recent Browns history.
And in Cleveland, that's really saying something. The clock is ticking, the evidence is overwhelming, and the choice should be obvious. But apparently, in Stefanski's world, obvious doesn't matter, and that's exactly why Browns fans are calling for his job.